Hey guys, welcome back to another video. So this is going to be a very different video from what I usually do, but I feel like everyone needs to be on the same page. I recently got access to a tool called Search Carriers, which allows you to really take a deep dive into carrier operations to see what their inspections look like. You can filter by inspections. It has been an eye opener. And this is unfortunate because I used to sleep much better before I started digging. But I believe in sharing is caring, so I'm going to share the insanity that I have found. Honestly, from the moment that I started digging into the inspections, I started feeling like I'm in the Matrix. So let's go ahead and chat through some of what I have found. And mind you, I have only had access to this tool for about a week. Ready? Let's go. So something I want to say before we even get into the data and what I have found. There are still a lot of people who believe that it's impossible to cheat in the trucking industry in a big way and that it's heavily regulated, which it is. After all, we have the federal, state, and local laws that kind of govern how we operate. Plus, we all know that those DOT inspections are a pretty scary thing. And most people have heard that DOT officers, they're so strict, they'll put you out of service for anything they can find. But when you start digging into the data, at least some of it, you realize, oh, holy shit. There are moments when you really, really want an inspector to fix a situation, put this person out of service, and they just don't. All right, first we're going to talk about this whole idea of driving without a CDL. Now, when I was looking through the data, I filtered it. So I filtered it to only show me anything that happened in the month of October of 2025, any inspection that happened in October of 2025. And I only looked at those motor carriers who had semi-trucks and semi-trailers, right? It was not a situation of box truck, cargo van, or something else. These were semi-trucks and semi-trailers. So I'm going to attach everything right here. You will see that a lot of it is redacted, and the reason is because YouTube has a very confusing policy where on one hand, public information is okay to share. On the other hand, they get all pissed off about it. So I removed all identifying information. So number one, an inspection that happened on October 14th in California. And you will see at the bottom that it was a Freightliner and a utility trailer. So semi-truck, semi-trailer. There was a shipper name. So this was a loaded truck. And California found that this person had operated a commercial motor vehicle without a CDL. But instead of putting this person out of service, they just issued a violation, which means that they issued a violation and said, you're good to go. Keep driving without a CDL. This is unacceptable, right? All right, let's take a look at another one. Again, in the state of California. Now, this is not a video about, oh, California, California, California. I have talked about California a million times, but just some of the inspections happen to be in California in this case. So another one in California, again, at the bottom, you can see it's a Volvo truck and a Wabash trailer. You can see the shipper name, so it's a loaded truck. Happened on October 10th of 2025 in San Luis Obispo. And again, this driver is operating a commercial motor vehicle without a CDL. And again, there is a violation instead of an out of service order. So yeah, I mean, it's a little bit crazy. Next, we have Nevada. This inspection happened on October 9th of 2025. Again, a loaded truck. You can see the shipper name at the top. At the bottom, you can see the truck and trailer again, semi-truck, semi-trailer. And at the bottom of the inspections or violations that were found, operating a CMV and does not possess a valid CDL. And again, it's a violation rather than an out of service order. Okay, last one. There are more than what I'm showing you. I just don't want the video to be way longer than it should be. Again, in California, this time this inspection happened on October 7th of 2025. You can see truck is Kenworth, trailer is a utility trailer, semi-truck, semi-trailer. You can see this truck is loaded. The shipper's name was Taylor Farms. And again, operating a CMV and does not possess a valid CDL. And again, it's just a violation. So basically what these officers are doing is they are catching drivers of commercial motor vehicles driving without a CDL, which means that they are not qualified to drive this motor vehicle. And instead of putting this person out of service and preventing them from driving further, the officer just gives them a violation and tells them, okay, you're good to go. Basically, a violation does not kind of ground a truck. Then I started just searching for different violations that are pretty critical violations, right? Like, for example, a carrier being put out of service because they're an imminent hazard, things that are critical, right? Things that you should get an out of service order for. And I stumbled across another category, and that has to do with the possession or use of drugs, alcohol, and so on. So let's go through that, because I feel like this is even more frightening than the fact that officers are letting people without a CDL go and continue operating on the road. So this search was opened up to the whole year, so all of 2025 up until now. Number one, this is the state of Arkansas. This person is loaded with USPS freight. And what do we see? Again, Freightliner, Wabash, dry van, semi-truck, semi-trailer. Here we have operating a CMV while in possession, right? And again, violation, no out of service order. Let's take a look at the next one. This one happened in Illinois. Now, the shipper name is not here, which means that this person either was empty or the officer just didn't put in the name of the shipper. Here we have driver uses or is in possession of drugs. And again, it's a violation. It's not an out of service order. Let's take a look at another one. This one happened in Georgia. Again, this is a Freightliner. As you can see, the shipper name is MCR Safety. And here we have two violations. Number one, operating a CMV while in possession. Number two, no driver shall be on duty or operate a commercial motor vehicle while the driver possesses an intoxicating beverage, regardless of its alcohol content. And both of those resulted in a violation rather than an out of service order like they should have. Next, Kentucky, another Volvo truck, Wabash trailer, semi-truck, semi-trailer. This happened in August of 2025. We can see the shipper's name, so this person is loaded. Again, drugs or other substances, operating a commercial motor vehicle while in possession, and they get a violation rather than an out of service order. Final one, and this one really is interesting. This also happened in the state of Illinois, happened on June 13th of 2025. As you can see, now it's duplicated. Peterbilt and utility trailer, semi-truck, semi-trailer. They got loaded at Eagle Eye Produce, so this is probably a reefer. Oy, and what do we see here? Driver consuming an intoxicating beverage within 4 hours before operating a motor vehicle. And this is a violation, not an out of service order. Now, I'm acutely aware of the fact that sometimes there is an issue with a person getting prescribed a medication and not carrying a prescription, and therefore it shows up as, a controlled substance. But in the case of the driver consuming alcohol within 4 hours of getting behind the wheel of a commercial motor vehicle and then getting a violation, that is a little bit concerning. A little bit is an understatement, especially considering that the crash in Ontario has found that this driver who caused the horrific crash was under the influence. So yeah, when you start digging through the inspections, you start realizing that the world is not quite the way you thought it was. I am the kind of person that likes to see the world through rose-colored glasses. A lot of people call me a Debbie Downer of trucking because I show you the truth, but in reality, I always try to give some semblance of hope at the end without outright, manipulating the reality. The moment I started digging into the fraud aspect or the shady stuff that goes on in the trucking industry and started seeing the data, not just hearsay, but seeing the data or actual reports, I started realizing that there is really a very, very big issue in the trucking industry. I wanted to keep you updated on what I have found. I am very curious to hear whether you guys were aware that this is happening, where drivers without a CDL are not getting an out of service order and are allowed to continue driving, or drivers who have consumed alcohol or an intoxicating beverage, as it is stated, within 4 hours of operating a commercial motor vehicle were given a violation instead of an out of service order and allowed to keep driving. Have you guys heard of this happening? Because for me, I mean, I knew there was a possibility of it. I did a little bit of research a while ago. But when you see it like this, yeah, it makes you question who you are driving next to when you're on the freeway. Anyway, guys, wishing you all a fantastic Tuesday. Stay safe, stay healthy, and keep learning. See you in the next video.